Hey teens, I'm Miss Abby, your Teen Services Librarian for the Slidell branches of the San Antonio Parish Library. And today we're going to make the Christmas tree ornament craft from your December Teen Arts and Crafts tote. Before we get started, let's go over what our Arts and Crafts tote and our book subscription totes are. So our two teen subscription totes, the first one being the book tote, are free for teens 12 to 18 years of age in the San Antonio Parish. So all you need to have is a library card to be able to get the book tote. You register online between the 1st and the 15th of every month to receive in the following month between the 1st and the 15th. We'll send a reminder email and everything about that. And when you go to register, you'll have a choice between two topics. You pick the theme that you want. There's some other information you can add in so we can be more accurate in our book choices. And then we'll send you a bag with some swag, some snacks, some fun stuff, and also two San Antonio Parish Library books to check out for you to test out and try. It's a great way to find a new author or a new genre, or if you get stuck on your reading journey. And the second one is our Arts and Crafts tote. So you register for that one online at our website between the 15th and the 30th of every month to receive between the 15th and the 30th of the following month. And similarly, we send out an email to remind you to go pick it up and which branch you selected to have your tote sent to. That one will have two crafts for the month. So let's get started making your very own yarn Christmas tree ornament. First, we're going to go over the materials that you need. Also, keep in mind that if you did not get this Arts and Crafts kit, this is stuff that's very easy for you to pick up from just about any craft or box store, or you may also have laying around your home. So for materials needed, we have a cone-shaped template. You can print out online. They're very easy to come by. A plastic baggie, and in your kit, you'll have an empty plastic bag with 3 pieces of tape. I know they're hard to see, but they are there. A little ball of yarn. Most of you, or all of you, should have enough yarn in your kits to do at least 2 Christmas trees. A little piece of twine, that's the optional use I'll show you later. And a piece of fishing line, also optional use. A paper clip. You're gonna have a container of Mod Podge, mine's to the side because it looks a little different. One sponge brush. And you're gonna also need a pair of scissors, but it will not be included. You will also have some decorations. All of you will have some little rhinestone jewels, but there's also some beads, and the beads are what I use to go around my tree in a swirl, like it was decorated with ribbon or ornaments. But that's for the end of our project after you've given it time to dry. So now that we've gone over our materials, let's get started. So the very first thing you're going to do is cut out your cone template. You want to cut the thick black lines. The perforated line is to where you're going to glue or tape. And you're going to use one of the 3 or even 2. You just need to reserve 1 piece of tape to secure the cone shape. And if you just slide it with your nail a little bit, you should be able to pull the tape off of the plastic bag. I already have one put together for me. It's already been used once for the prototype, so we're going to make a second one. And so I have my tape here a little bit. I believe I'll also put a little piece of tape on the inside just to hold it secure. All right. So I'm going to remove this template because I already have one. And the next step, we're going to take that last piece of tape that you reserved off, and you can set it to the side. I'm going to put it on my hand right here because I'm going to need it in a minute. And I'm going to open my plastic baggie And then I'm just going to slide my plastic baggie onto my cone. I'm going to rip the side up a little bit just so it goes on all the way. I want it just like that in that one corner. And then I'm going to get it as tight as I can to that corner. And I'm just going to roll this other piece up so it's a nice tight fit. And secure it with that last piece of tape that you reserved. Just like that. Okay? So that's all you gotta do for this one. And that's because all that glue is going to stick straight to that paper, and you need to have a shape, but you also need to have an easy way to get it off. So this plastic will come loose from the Mod Podge after it's dry. You might have to tug a little bit, but it will come off. So then I'm going to take my yarn, and you can really do this step anywhere on your cone. I like to do it towards the top so when I'm pulling on the yarn it doesn't slide down. So we're going to take the yarn and we're going to do one loop and then secure it by tying a knot so it doesn't shift again. And again, I do this to the top so when I'm pulling down it stays where it's at. But if I did it, you know, further down, it's going to pull up whenever I try to go up, and I want it to be easier, not harder. Work smart, not hard. And again, you're going to be doing this with your cone standing up. I have it laying down so it'll be easier for you to see what I'm doing. So I'm going to just do an over-under knot. There we go. It doesn't have to be super tight. It's really just to secure it. Okay. So that's my over-under knot. Make sure my cone is on nice and good. And I'm not too worried about this extra piece of yarn here, but I am going to trim it a little bit just so I don't have to go over it so much. Because I want my tree to be nice and covered, but this one's almost a little too thick. It was kind of hard to find holes to pass the yarn and twine through. I did a few too many layers on this one. And I want to do a few less on this one. So then I'm going to take my yarn and I'm going to start wrapping around, and then we're going to use our glue to secure it and also to make it where the yarn is stiff once it's dry. Alright, so I have my glue, so I can kind of work as I go. And again, this is going to be easier on y'all because you're going to have it sitting up. So that's what I'm going to do now. Normally, I keep it down so it's easier for you to see. But since I'm working up for once, we're going to change our angles a little bit. So I have my yarn on my ornament tree. And I'm going to kind of start further down just because that's easier for me. You can start up and then work your way down if you'd like. Keep in mind that the further down you go is the size of what your ornament's going to be. Having a bit of a struggle here. That's okay. Okay. I'm going to hold my cone and I'm just going to start weaving it around. And I think right about here is where I had it last time. And it doesn't have to be completely even on the bottom. This one is not, but it's going to be hanging. So it doesn't have to be even where it'll sit flat, fine. But this one does sit pretty well. Set it back here so you can see a little better. It does sit pretty well and it's cute even as a table decoration or ornament. If you don't have a tree and you just want to put it on your nightstand or give it to somebody to put by their bed, however you'd like to do it. So I'm just gonna do one quick little wrap around here and there. And then I'm gonna take my Mod Podge and my brush. A little bit of the extra off. You don't have to go super, super thick with this. And it will dry clear. Even if you use a little too much, it will be fine. Okay, and then I'm just gonna start dabbing that glue onto my yarn. Okay. I'm gonna go a little bit lighter, I think, because they're starting to shift. They're not liking this. So I'm gonna go as I go. Let's see. That's kind of cool. I'm gonna leave it like that. All right. So I'm gonna go as I go. And if you wanna go around your project and do a layer and then come back and do another layer, you can absolutely do that, but you do not wanna remove it until the very last layer you do is dry. Okay? So, and even if you have it sticking to the glue on the plastic bag, that is absolutely okay. The glue bag will come loose from all of it, and the glue will kind of pull out too. Okay, so I'm just gonna keep going. I'm gonna find myself a nice little stopping point. I'm gonna get some more of that glue and go back over that layer again, the second layer. And the first layer is going to catch it a little bit, and that's okay. We're going to keep going and keep going and keep going until we layer a nice, pretty ornament. And like I said, the last one, I didn't leave a whole lot of space in between the strings. So this one will go a little lighter because I had trouble adorning it later because I wanted to use the fishing line to do a nice little wraparound. And it was harder, but I do have a solution for that. If you do get it a little thick, that's okay. But I wanted to try doing one that's a little less full, I guess would be a good term. And your hands might get a little messy, and that's okay. I always put a little piece of paper or some tablecloth, sometimes a paper plate down before I start working on these crafts so that I don't make a huge mess that's really hard to pick up. So that might be a good practice too. Maybe, you know, so mom's not super mad at you making a mess on her kitchen table. Or maybe your desk in your room. Make it easier to clean that up in between art projects. So as you can see, I'm just wrapping it around a little at a time, not really stressing over anything. I'm going to go back to the tip a little bit so I can have a little tip of my tree. Because I do need to have something to put, you know, a piece of string through. So I want a couple layers up here. And then I'm going to come back down because I see some gaps that I want to fill. And the strings do not have to lay next to each other perfectly. You can be a little chaotic with it. I kind of like a nice little chaotic tree. I know we have some who want it to be absolutely even and perfect, and that's okay if you want to take the time to do that. All right, so now that I've gone down one more time, I'm going to come up one more time. Kind of up and down. And crisscross some of these gaps a little bit. Okay. And then I kind of think this is pretty perfect. So I'm going to leave it like this. So I'm going to go back and do some more Mod Podge. Make sure it's nice and wet. And I've gotten this Mod Podge all the way through my yarn, because this is what's going to stiffen this yarn and make it to where it'll keep its shape even without the comb. Okay. And this is going to take a bit to dry. I left mine for 24 hours Typically, I say at least overnight. It should be good. But there's a lot of layers here that have to dry. And it takes a minute for them to get fully dry. And don't worry if a little bit of the Mod Podge clumps up and leaves, like you can see it. This one didn't. It kind of looks like it snowed on the tree. You can also go back with a little wet, white paint on a dry brush and kind of brush over it and make it look like it snowed on the tree or like it's flocked, if that's what you like. So now that I have my tree about where the size that I want, I'm going to cut my end. And I'm going to take that end and I'm just going to tuck it into the glued yarn. And when it dries, it should hold its shape and stay exactly where I put it. Okay, so for decorating your tree, you can do this part while it's wet if you want to. The rhinestones that I gave you, or even the beads, if you want to glue them to it and then let it dry, you can. You might have to put an extra little dollop of glue or two for it to stay. But now is a great time for you to do that if you so choose, right? So I just put in a few so you can see kind of what that looks like with the shinies on it. I do have some glue in my hand, so you can always wash them first. They're not sticky. If you don't want to sit there with the beads, you can absolutely glue the beads on. But anyway, you get the gist. So if I just want to set my clear ones there, I can. You can go all around it. You can also wait for it to dry and then glue them individually. And it might stick a little better, but if you're in a hurry to get it decorated, you can do it that way. For this one, I found it. Oop, don't worry if this happens. It's fixable, but I have a tip to make it go easier. So I can't show you how to redo this because I sent y'all all my beads, but I can show you how I did this one. So I took a piece of fishing line. Let's see if we can see this a bit better. I took a piece of fishing line and I just made a knot in one of the pieces of yarn here. And then I strung my beads, however many you wanted, to be able to reach the top. And then I wrapped them around how I wanted them. And then I stuck it back into a piece of yarn up here. And then tied it back down here because I couldn't get my hand in there. So I just pulled it and then tied it back to a piece of yarn down here from the inside so it would stay. Because this fishing line, you shouldn't have to see it. And I, of course, trimmed the ends. If you don't want it to be loose like this, where, excuse me, it'll just pop up. Now, obviously, if it's hanging, it won't pop off. But if you're moving it around and you're using it as a piece of decoration on your nightstand, you might want to go in periodically, secure that fishing line, and then come back out and add beads. Okay? So that's all I did for this one. So I have not put a piece on the top yet to secure a hook to. So we're going to do that together. And like I said, I got this one a little thick, and I had a solution for that. Also, before we go too much further, notice how much yarn I still have left. Like, I can absolutely do a second one. Most of you have enough for at least 2, possibly 3. Or a super, super thick tree if you want. This one took a lot more yarn than the one we just did. So you want to put a thing on the top, but you don't have a hole to put it in. So we're going to take a paper clip and we're going to shove it through until it makes the hole that we want. You can do the same thing with the fishing, for the fishing line if you're having trouble. And then, so I want it to be nice and thick. I sent y'all some good paper, thick paper clips, because I don't want it to be hard for me then to feed this through. And before I remove it, I'm going to kind of start guiding it to make it easier on me to find the hole. Oop, oop. Okay, now that I have it threaded through, I'm just going to do about the length that I want. And then I'm going to do an overhand knot, not an over and under, an overhand knot. So let's see. And if you wanted to do 2 knots, you could do one closer to the tree so it doesn't have like such a wide opening. Or you can leave it like this if you'd like to. I'm going to leave it like that, and I'm just going to do my overhand knot and make sure that's nice and secure for the hook to hang from. And then I'm going to trim, and I'm going to leave just a little bit, so if it stretches a little, it'll still be okay. And then when I made my hole, I was a little bit nervous that I might have loosened some of the thread a little bit. Let me fix my beads. So what I'm gonna, oop, had the beads going in the wrong direction. Hold on. Let me fix this real fast. So what I'm gonna do is secure that a little bit with a little bit more Mod Podge, just to make sure that it doesn't come loose. And I'm gonna let it dry before I hang it on my tree, of course. All right, so I have my beads situated out of the way, and I'm just going to take a little more of this Mod Podge, and I'm going to secure where the string is coming out. And I want it to get on the beads because I don't want the beads to be cloudy. Okay, if you do, it should wipe off once it dries. If there's any left, it'll flake. Okay, and it should dry clear, but that's just going to ensure that if I did loosen it, it won't pull it completely off. All right, so I'm gonna let that dry, and then it's ready to hang. And before I let it dry, I'm gonna make sure this is exactly even as I want. So once it dries, it'll be ready to hang on my Christmas tree. And you have a variety to decorate. Some of you have these beads. There's a different set of beads for about half, so half get these, half got another kind, and then everybody got the shiny rhinestones. All right, let us know what you think of this craft. It is from your December teen tote. Don't forget to register now for your January teen tote between December 15th and December 30th. And we will have 2 crafts online to let you know what we're going to have to pick for that. So now I'm going to have 2 really cool Christmas trees to decorate with. Thank you for getting the St. Timothy Parish Library's Arts and Crafts tote. Don't forget to subscribe also for the book tote. In January, you can register between the 1st and the 15th to receive the book tote in February. Thank you. Happy crafting.